Hi everybody, Carissa here with Inky Fairy Designs, and today is a new release day for Jane's Doodles. So we have a blog hop, and I'm going to be showing you how I created this card using the new set called Winter's Wishes. Now this is the set. It has these adorable critters and this adorable snowman in it, and also a couple little accessories and three sentiments that you can use to build your cards. So I'm going to be using the mouse, the penguin, and the bear, and then the happy holidays sentiment today. And I wanted to create a watercolor background, so I cut out some watercolor paper. It's 140-pound cold press watercolor paper by Fabriano, and I'm doing a little bit of masking with the mouse. I wanted him to stand out in front. Now I had envisioned kind of a one-layer watercolor panel here, but you'll see I kind of had to go in a different direction to finish my card, but I'll go ahead and show you what happened and how we corrected it and how we fixed it, because like you know, I try not to throw things away if I can fix it. So here I'm doing a bit of white embossing. This is where I'm trying to create I'm kind of getting ready to create that watercolor background. So I'm taking the snowflakes from that same stamp set, and I stamped them in Versafine and emboss them in white. Now I wanted to do some liquid masking with this frisket, because there's going to be a ton of water as I create the background, and I wanted to protect my stamped images. So this is liquid frisket by I don't know. I think it's by Winsor Newton, but I'll have everything listed below and on my blog. And so this, you just want to paint it on with a paintbrush, and you want to make sure that you clean your paintbrush really well, because it dries pretty fast and it's pretty goopy, and you want to let it completely dry, and then you're going to add your watercolor. So I got some brushes. I finally broke down and got some, and this is the first time using them, and they are really fun. And so I used the three colors, Ost.Blue, gray, and violet. So I put the blue on the bottom, and then in the middle I put the violet, and on top I'm going to put the gray. So these are watercolor powders, and they are activated with water. So I'm just sprinkling them on. This is my first time using them. I've seen other people use them in very different and creative ways, but creating a background with these is kind of a first step, I think. I just wanted to play with them and see how they react, and so you can see that they get very vibrant very quickly when you spray some water on them. And so I took some of that off with a dry paper towel, and then I'm just spraying some more water. And then I started to notice that it was kind of clumping on top of the embossed snowflakes. And so I added more water to try and get that pigment, moving, but it just wasn't really going anywhere, and so it was clumping. And so I end up getting a baby wipe and just kind of wiping away those spots where you can see that it clumped up on top of anywhere where it was embossed, and it did clump a little bit around where the liquid frisket is. And I'm not sure if that's because maybe my frisket masking fluid was not completely dry. But anyway, so here's the baby wipe, and I'm just using it and kind of rubbing parts of that away, and that worked really well. I was able to get some more variation in color using the baby wipe, and get it off of the snowflakes, because I really wanted those snowflakes to be white and really be able to see them. So the next thing that I did was I used some Winsor Newton Iridescent medium. This is a watercolor medium, and I'm just putting it all on top of that Brusho background, and it gives a really seriously gorgeous shimmer on top of your watercolor, and you can see it here. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's iridescent. You can see it in the light. It's really, really pretty. So now I'm peeling off the frisket, and this is where I see that, I don't know, I didn't get all the way to the edge, or I don't know if it wasn't completely dry, but you can see that part of that watercolor background got under the frisket, which shouldn't happen, so I know it is user error. and I must have done something wrong, but I don't know what, and I love that background. I wasn't going to let it go to waste. So I decided I would do some Copic coloring and cover up, you know, where I wanted the images and just change it up just a bit. So I stamped my images on Copic Xpress paper, and now I'm going to do some very, very simple Copic coloring because this really wasn't what I had in mind, but we are going to go with it anyway. So I took out two colors for the bear. I'm using E81 and E43. I covered it all over, and then I did a little bit of shading, and then I decided I wanted to make him look a little bit furry, so I did some stippling using some different size, you know, just using my markers to create little circles, mainly where it's going to be the darker shadows, and blended it together with the colorless blender. So now I'm going to move on to the penguin using my absolute favorite black combination, which is pretty much all of the C's, well, not really all of the C's, but C4. I covered the entire penguin, and then I'm coming in with C6, C8, and C10, and then 100. And it's such a small area. I think I really ended up shading or coloring it all in with C6 instead of going all the way back to C4, but that C4 brought, you know, gave me a really good base to start with, and I could see where I wanted my highlights and everything, so worked out in the end. But yeah, just doing some very, very simple Copic coloring with these cute little critters. I just think you know, you don't have to do a whole lot to them. Oh, and then one thing I wanted to point out is that you're going to see I use the same color cheeks on all of them, and I use that E81 and the E43 on all of my critters, so it kind of ties them all together. So I used that on the bear for his fur, and then I used it on the penguin for like the white part, because white always has shadow, so I decided to use that for the shadow on my penguin and tie it together. Oh, and then I used it on the mouse's ears. So I did that E81 and the E43, and then I did tip to tip with the E81 and the R20 to give just a little bit of a pink tint to the inside of his ears. And now I'm going in and I'm going to darken up the mouse with E44 and E47. So I still have that E43 in there, and it ties all of my critters together, which is something that is good to do when you have kind of a scene, and it just brings everything, kind of makes everything cohesive, and for me it makes me so that I don't have to think about so many colors, because sometimes it gets overwhelming when you are building a scene and you have to color all of these little images. Just pick one color combination that you're going to use on all of them, and it'll make it a lot easier. So now I'm coming in and I'm going to color in the scarves and the sweater to match my background paper, which is by Bo Bunny. It's the Altitute 6x6 collection. It's my absolute favorite from last year, and I'm happy and excited that I get to pull it out again and use it for some of my winter cards this year. It's just gorgeous. Anything that has purple in it, I'm in love with, and you don't really see a lot of purple in paper collections. Purple's my favorite color, so yeah, I actually got two of those, and I never ever do that. So now I am coloring in the scarf on the mouse, and I'm doing a lot of tip to tip because like I said, I'm just using like two colors, and sometimes because I'm not getting that mid-tone, I'm using like a light and a dark. What I'll do is I'll just do tip to tip with those two markers and get that mid-tone a little bit so that I can get some more smoother blending. So that's a little tip when you're doing some simple Copic coloring. Do tip to tip, take out that mid-tone, and you can work with your dark and your light and still get some really great shading. So I will have all of the colors, Copics that I use listed below in the YouTube description as well as on my blog. So I fussy cut all of my critters out, and now I'm going around the edges like I always do with a Memento Tuxedo black marker just to cover up that white core of the cardstock. I did add some Wink of Stella, of course, onto the accents of each little critter, and also added some white gel pen accents to the scarves as well. So now we're going to assemble the card, and I cut out some different layers using some dies, and you can see how I covered up the mistake from the watercoloring getting underneath the liquid masking. And I just put the bear and the penguin and adhered them directly to the watercolor panel using some double-sided tape, and then I did cut out a panel to create a little snowbank and a place to put my sentiment for the card, and I popped up the mouse in the middle. I think it turned out super cute. You can see all of that shimmer, and you can't even tell that I made a mistake and I had a different idea for this card to begin with because it looks absolutely adorable. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and share with your crafty friends. And be sure to check out the entire blog hop. The list is on my blog at www.inkyfairydesigns.com. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.